We are live. Welcome everyone to the Transformational Storyteller Show. It is Thursday and it is 2 days after my birthday. And somebody had a birthday very recently as well. My guest today is Carmen Alvarez, and she also had a birthday. I don't know how old she turned, but let me tell you that in her short life, she has completed a lot of impact. She has done a lot of work to bless our world and the community. She's an organizational culture strategist. She's a Reiki Master. She's a certified mindfulness facilitator. I mean, this woman is amazing. And of course, she's a best-selling author of The Gifts of Pain. And one of the things that I really love about Carmen is that she is a workplace well-being strategist. And we'll talk about that definitely during our interview because she teaches retreats across the USA and Latin America in both English and Spanish. And she is incredible. Carmen empowers others to prioritize well-being, happiness, and purpose. And we're going to talk about how you can get in touch with Carmen. All of her information is going to be in the show notes. So I'm going to stop talking so that you can be blessed by the wisdom of Carmen. And hi, Carmen.
Hey, Dr. Fernandez, thank you so much for the beautiful introduction. It's very kind. And happy birthday. Many blessings to you today and always.
Many blessings to you too. I was just so excited on December 9th, and I posted in the community because I'm so grateful that you're in the world and that you're doing the work that you're doing. You have such a beautiful soul, and we need that. And with that, let's talk about your chapter in the Gifts of Pain because as you know, this is a place where we share stories that impact the world, that ignite transformation, that make a difference in the world. And your story is so powerful. I remember when we were in the editing phase, about that time we had worked together in the chapter, and the copy editor said, I have to stop. I have to stop editing. I have to take a break. This story really impacted me, and I cried myself to sleep. That's what he said. It was just so impactful. So even before publication, your story was making a difference. And I get emotional because it really touched me that he said that. And then he was able to, of course, finish, and we published the book, and it's available, and you can order copies directly from Carmen with her beautiful name and picture. But can you please bless our audience today by sharing your story, and you may read it from the book, so that everyone understands what we're talking about here.
Thank you so much for saying that. It's very kind. And I have to say that I've been very grateful to work with you and have your guidance and be part of this community. It's really been itself a transformational experience. So thank you very much. Um, my story begins. Uh, it's a story of grief and loss, and we all go through different kinds of adversity and pain in life. In this case, my story relates directly to having lost my brother in 2016. And so that is the experience that I speak about. When this happened, it really tore me open. It devastated me to the point where I really felt lost. And I couldn't find a way out. I like to say that it felt like I was in a black hole. You know how a black hole is a void that really sucks you in and you feel like you don't know how to get out. That's exactly what grief can feel like. Um, And what I also recall is that when I was going through it, I realized that I didn't even have the vocabulary to discuss or express or articulate what I was going through because no one teaches us about grief and pain or how to discuss these things. And a lot of us don't know how to navigate it until we go through it. So in my story specifically, I describe in detail the agony and the pain that we go through, and what it felt like. My brother was more than just a brother. I mean, it's someone that I help raise. You know, we do that in our culture. I'm the oldest of three kids, and he to me was so much more than that. He was my baby, and I was very proud of him. He was a medic with the Boston Police, and he saved many lives, and he delivered babies. Um, you know, he continues to this day to be my inspiration and my hero. But he also was my best friend. So losing him broke me in many layers. And so I almost didn't see the way out. The pain was so immense at some point that I really felt that I honestly didn't know how to go on. I honestly questioned whether or not I was going to be able to make it through. And I want to say that because it's important that we are honest and vulnerable about the pain and what it really feels like. Because I think, and you know this, Dr. Fernandez, in our culture and in society in general, it's almost taboo to discuss grief in pain, right? And we're not taught to discuss it. It's become this negative thing. So I want to say that one of the top lessons I learned is that actually being honest with those emotions and being brave enough to walk through the pain is actually what will get you through the other side. You know, this notion of let me just get through this first few months and like maybe after the holidays will, you know, be over because I'm literally right now as we speak, Dr. Fernandez, I am in the middle of the anniversary. It actually happens right now. It happened in 2016, right after my birthday. And so tomorrow, the 19th, would be the anniversary of the funeral, the proceedings. Like, so I'm living it right now. This whole entire week has been a reminder of what that raw pain can feel like. And you know, grief is not something, I want to pause here and say this. Grief is not something that sort of happens and you put a lid on it and then it's over, or it's not something to get over. Grief, you know, it's something that transforms your life. And it's something that you learn to live with. It's not something that you put behind you, it's something you learn to live with.
Yeah.
And in this book and in the chapter, what we actually stress is the power that it can have to transform you if you allow it. If you
Yeah.
allow the pain, it can be transformative, right? And so navigating through that pain, eventually that's exactly what I learned, is that I decided this could be simply pain, or it could be nothing. I could pretend nothing happened, or I can choose to allow it to break me open, have me become someone who uses this for a purpose, uses this for service, and uses this to help other people. So this story, similar to all the other stories in the book, is about transformation. It's about what transforms us and eventually how we use our story to help other people, because that's what it's all about. And so, um, you know, that is the invitation to us well, is to be um, curious about how any adversity, it doesn't have to be grief, because, you know, in my story, it's about losing someone. But grief can take many shapes and forms. You know, grief is also a divorce. Grief is also navigating through a sickness and illness. Grief is anything. Is so navigating through any adversity in life, the invitation is to see how can this transform me and how may I use this to later help other people. So I think that's my story in a
Oh,
nutshell, and I want to pause there to see.
yeah. Oof, you share so much. Well, number one, I want to thank you for showing up this week. It's remarkable to me because we were scheduled for way later next year, and you jumped in at the invitation to come on today. And I didn't know what this day would mean. And I just being in the verge of tears here, and not gonna fight him anymore. uh, to model for everyone, that it's okay to cry and to feel deeply. And I'm crying because you're honoring your brother through this call. And I think grief is something, like you said, that we all relate to. And we all know someone that we've lost, but I love how you made the distinction that we lose many, many things. Uh, Partnership, like you said, through divorce, or it could be a job that we tied to our identity, or where we experienced many friendships, or where we felt productive. Or I love how you mentioned illness, because we're grieving the version of us who could do something or show up in a certain way. And I feel that, as you said, we don't talk about it enough. And for you to talk about it the week of the anniversary of losing your brother, it's so meaningful. And I want to thank you, you know, on behalf of myself, but on behalf of our audience, for such a gift. And I have a question to follow up, and it's that, how do you find the courage to show up when you're in this delicate state of reliving this pain?
Thank you so much for the kind words, and thank you for saying yes to feeling the emotion and modeling that to everyone, to not say no, to allow that to flow when they come. Um, Yes, when you sent that message saying that, perhaps anyone could jump in today, um, it's a daily decision. It's when something like this comes in, my choice could have been to say, not at all. I mean, that date is very fragile, or I'm going to whatever it is. But I thought to myself, this is exactly how the universe puts these opportunities in your life. And so for me, the choice is always yes when it comes to service. So to me, in my journey, what helped me through my healing included service to others. And so anything that has to do with what I'm doing today, whether it is my teaching, the retreat, the book, our community, everything is tied to the service that I'm doing, and it ties directly to my honoring of my brother Manny. So to me, it actually fills my heart with joy to do anything that ties to helping other people, because it's been my promise to him to honor his life in doing this. And I hope that this example in, the book and the stories in the book are inspiration to others, in that you can see that the transformation is possible when you choose to allow yourself the opportunity to become a new version of you. You mentioned that, and that is so true. It's amazing though how, as I was going through the pain and the healing, and as I was choosing, okay, I need to maybe use this to help other people transform this into purpose, I still had a lot of inner resistance because I was not at all a mindfulness teacher or a Reiki practitioner or anything of the sort, right? I'm a strategist. I work in a big organization in academic healthcare. So everything in me was saying, you're going to make a fool of yourself. You know, you're supposed to be this version of you. So that was another level of shedding that in, that version of myself and deciding to serve others. So in short, it's my promise to honor his life through this work, is what gets me through.
I love that. Oh my goodness, it's so powerful. I think that uh, it's really uh, layered, and I think a step-by-step journey. And because I'm sure you started with small steps, taking small steps to honor his legacy, and it makes sense as you beautifully shared about the difference that he made in his life with all of the service that he did, that you're honoring him through service in your own way. And that's for me the takeaway of your authenticity in honoring all of the parts of who you are and translating what he did into what are your gifts, right? Those were Manny's gifts, and this is how he served the world. But what are Carmen's gifts, and how can Carmen serve the world? And it's not just this, organizational strategist, which is a beautiful journey in itself, but it's also adding another layer of the energy healing that you do in the work that you do, and also in your relationships. I've had the pleasure and honor to just spend time with you as friends, and it is just palpable. The energy and the love that you put into everything is just so beautiful, and I'm honored to interview you, but also that you're in my life is a privilege. And I'm excited that everyone gets to know you now. And with that, I wanted to ask you a little bit about your work. So how can people who are listening and watching today, whether it's live right now, say hello if you're here, or it is through replay, what is your work and how can people take part in your world?
Thank you so much. Yes, it's so true that you mentioned that. I want to make a note of you mentioning that I had to figure out what my own contribution was going to be, right? Manny was a medic and I did have to ask that to myself because at that point I wasn't in any, sort of service. And so um, we all have so many gifts. God gives us so many gifts. We do. We have. And you know what I've always said is that when you're wondering, what is it that I'm going to contribute to the world? I'm not this and I'm not that. I didn't start out with any of these tools. I sought them out through the healing journey. I spent a lot of time in reflection, in meditation. I grabbed a lot of books when I wanted to, wonder. I was in YouTube looking through videos and interviews just like this, wanting to hear someone who could echo what I was feeling and what I was my journey. And this is another reason why what we are doing here, Dr. Fernandez, is so important because we don't have enough of these stories out there for when someone is going through and navigating through this. And that's why I'm so grateful that you've given me this opportunity to share this journey. And so I wanted to pause and say that, yes, I had none of these skills. I allowed my heart to guide me. My heart who wanted to heal and my heart who wanted to honor him is what led me to discover what I wanted to maybe do. I was already in healthcare. I work in one of the academic health centers in Boston. And I wanted to do something related to patient care because it is my world and it is what he did as well as a medic. But I'm not a nurse and I'm not a medic. And that's how sort of in reflection and meditation and doing a lot of research, I found Reiki. And Reiki is a modality that is an energy healing modality that has its origin in Japan, but anyone can do Reiki. You can become attuned, you become certified, and you go through all this training. And it is a hands-on modality. It's very gentle and yet very powerful. And that's what I loved about it. It's very simple. And I started bringing this therapy to the hospital, seeing patients at the bedside, bringing that energy to them. And then I realized it's great, but they're so stressed. It's almost like they need to another layer of relaxation, before I can fully get in there and provide the healing. That's what led me to want to learn about mindfulness. How can I help my patients and their nervous system become calm enough to actually receive the healing that I'm bringing to them? And that's what led me to become certified in meditation and breath work. And so all combined, it's just a um, beautiful therapy and journey and experience for the patients.
Yeah.
And so you can become involved in this. Many cancer centers around the world now have Reiki, so you can just look at your local hospital and just write in Reiki, and you may find that energy healing. Mindfulness is very helpful. Breath work, meditation. I teach in my institution. I have a monthly webinar that we do. Every single month, we tackled a different area of life. And so I talk about mindfulness and well-being, and we do practices ourselves. And so you may hop on those as well. And then through my Instagram, I teach a lot and post a lot about the book, our journey, the different work that we are doing together in our community as well. So those are all the ways that people can um, collaborate and be in touch.
Oh, I love it so much. Thank you so, so, so much for sharing those resources because I want everyone to tap into that. And, just a little follow-up to what you were sharing about Reiki, because I have experienced Reiki before, and it is really powerful. And sometimes I think that depending on what your faith is or what your culture is or what you've heard before, the word energy, especially paired with the word healing, kind
Mhm.
of brings things up for people. And so hearing you talk about it with regard to cancer, with regard to patients. Can you tell us, or maybe demystify for us, a little bit about what the word energy really means?
Thank you so much for pointing that out. That's a very valid. And, you know, the world is energy. Everything is energy. We breathe air, that is energy, right? When we do this with our hands and you generate heat, that's energy, right? But also our thoughts are energy too, as well. When you say, I send you love to someone, that is actually energy, right? When you say, I send you all my love, that can be measured. And I have the privilege of working at Harvard with colleagues, and I see every day the research that is growing, the medical research that can articulate and can prove with the studies that show how energy of this kind, your thoughts, how gratitude. The most recent study that I'd love to link below, perhaps later, the most recent research study now articulates, with actual research and evidence base, that gratitude actually helps you heal faster, and that your cells hear you. Here's what you say. If you say, I feel good, I feel better, I am getting better. Your cells take that in as information and marching orders. If you say you're feeling better, your body, your cells start to work, work in that way. And so it's all evidence-based, and everything is energy. So having said that, the think about just the thought of becoming calm. When you enter into a calm state, your body wants to heal. It naturally wants to do that. What prevents it from doing that in some cases is stress, right? Or maybe environmental stressors, and also sometimes inside, war or
Yeah.
thoughts and things and stress. And so when we become calm, that also allows your body to heal. So there are many, many ways in which this has been proven with research. So yes, it is energy healing, but in what we are doing has nothing to do with religion. It has to do with love. It's like prayer. I mean,
Mhm.
prayer is prayer is exactly another way of saying you're utilizing that energy. When you're sending love, when you're praying, you're connecting. That's connecting to that energy, your inner love and your connection. So yes, it is all about energy. We are all energy. I am grateful that now there is actual research studies and evidence base to prove exactly how it heals the body and how it helps you. But if you are sitting there thinking, well, I'm not a Reiki practitioner, I want you to know that when you send love to your own body, when you put your hands over your heart and breathe deeply, take deep breaths, calm your nervous system, send yourself love, that's energy healing. You can do the same thing again and then think about someone else and send that love to a loved one. Send it to your mom, send it to someone who needs the healing, then you're already doing it. That's
Yes.
what it is.
I love that. And send it to someone who has upset you or frustrated you or irritated you or even deeply hurt you. And because I think that's a practice that has definitely given me so much peace. Is a forgiveness practice and a loving practice of people who wake up and activate those feelings and those emotions within us. So beautifully said, and you had the perfect answer, just articulating something that's so mysterious. And I can attest to that in my own life. When I was in a coma, I was not in the material realm. And yeah, I could feel everybody's energy around me. And it actually is what definitely helped me come back to life and come back to consciousness as we know it in this world, but also those energies as I was healing from 19 broken bones and brain injuries, and also during my cancer journey. I was talking to my cells all the time. So I definitely have experienced the power of healing energy, and I think that it's so simple and so misunderstood. And I know that you have so much knowledge and you are certified in this practice. You're a certified practitioner, and so she has a wealth of information. Let's tap into it. And so we are out of time now, but uh, besides the beautiful wisdom that you've shared today, I would love for you to speak to someone who's grieving right now, which is all of us, but let's just say someone who's in the depth of new grief. And what would be your encouragement or your advice to that person who is going through that right now and anything else that you would like to share before we end today.
Yes, thank you. I'm so glad that you mentioned this. I am in a group, a support group right now, and we are doing this with one another. So I immediately want to say that if you're going through the grieving process, you're being so brave for navigating it, for feeling. I want you to not run away from the pain. I want you to know that your pain is valid, that if you feel lost, if you feel like you have no idea who you are and you feel like you're going to have to begin again and be a new version of you, yes, all those things are true, but I want you to know that it's all worth it, that your pain is valid and not to be afraid to feel. Oftentimes we run away from the pain, but I promise you that if you allow the feeling, if you go through it, if you go in deep first, you're going to emerge all that much better. That it's going to transform you and that the new version of you will continue to include your loved one, your experience. You're not losing. It may feel like you're losing something at this point, but actually you're gaining a new perspective. You're gaining a new version of you that will transform you and transform many lives around you. So I invite you to see this as a journey, as an opportunity to find meaning. And maybe if it helps you, do what I did and find the meaning alongside my loved one. This became something that I did with my brother. It became a new way of relating to him. It's something that we do together. So if you're going through grief because you've lost someone, just know that you can create something together that will be so beautiful and that later on you'll look back with gratitude. And also just thank you for feeling. Thank you for honoring your pain, your journey, and your experience.
Mm, thank you, Carmen. I mean, there's nothing more to add than gratitude to you and for you, for this moment, for your words, for your bravery, for your courage. I'm sending you all my love. I'm sending you strength. I'm sending you comfort and peace. And I really deeply admire you and just how you show up for everyone around you and for us today. So thank you very much, and thank you everyone for tuning in, and make sure that you read Carmen's story in The Gifts of Pain and also Los Dones del Dolor, which is in Spanish, and make sure that you connect with her through all of the links and the resources that are in the show notes. Have a beautiful rest of your day and see you next week.
Everybody, thank you so much.